Hello, everyone. We're back. It's Sunday once again. I know I've been away for 2 weeks. I mean, the first week actually I wasn't away, but our special guest he had some family matters to attend to, so we couldn't do it that Sunday. And then I went for a holiday to Ireland with my family. That was really good. So that's why I didn't do last Sunday's Ask the Drummer. But we're back today. It's of course it's Sunday once again. It's just 1 minute till 7 in the evening here in the UK. No, it's actually 7 o'clock here in the UK now, which is 2 o'clock Monday morning in Manila. Maybe some of you are already asleep. Well, most of you are already asleep, but I hope that some are still up and watching us live. So, welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. I was actually at the record fair today in Wally Range in Manchester, and at the fair, I saw another amazing drummer. He was on Ask the Drummer before, I think last year. Arvin Johnson of Tigers and Flies. He was just there. It's amazing to see him again. And also Mateo, his bandmate, was there too. So it was really lovely to see the two of them today. But anyway, so today I'll be chatting to an amazing drummer that I saw live in Manchester in March this year. Absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know how you feel about tribute bands. I know that some people just when they hear tribute bands, they just dismiss it, but I love them and any drummer. I love drummers, so as you all know. So I'm really glad when I asked him if he could guest on Ask the Drummer. He said yes, and he's here now. So my dear friends, please welcome Carl Rice. Yay!
Hi Anna, how
Hello,
are you?
Carl. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm not too bad, thank you. I don't know how I'll quite live up to the billing that you just gave me then, leading into it, but I'll try my best. But yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you. It's been like March. I was just looking at my diary there and I realized that was a while ago now because we're now in September. It
Yeah,
seems like
the year has actually flown by, hasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, night and day. I mean, I've got to say, I want to say hello to Skinny because it was Skinny who,
yeah,
who introduced me to Jim Morrison, the
yeah,
Doors writing, Stuart Capstick, because it
yeah.
was at the Icicle Works gig last year in Liverpool when I saw him, and I wasn't really sure at first because I saw him. He was wearing his leather trousers and everything. He did look like Jim Morrison, but I was sort of like wondering, is he just I wasn't sure whether he's actually a singer or what because I've never seen him before. So
He's got a leather fetish.
yeah. So I just wanted to say hello to them, hello to Skinny and Jim Morrison is Stuart, also known as Stuart Capstick. So, anyways, welcome to Ask the Drummer. Episode 182 is all about you, Carl Rice. I wanted to make sure first, because when I googled Carl Rice, it actually gave me another Carl Rice,
I know who you mean. Yeah,
also also from Liverpool,
yeah.
and and when I found out that he's actually in Brookside,
Yeah.
so he's an
Oh,
actor.
he's an actor, and most people from who are similar age to me will know who he is, even if it's not familiar to them immediately, because there was a milk advert in the 80s, and the saying that he said was Ian Rush said, "If I drink lots of milk when I grow up, I'll be good enough to play for Accrington Stanley." And then the other guy says, "Who are they?" And he says, "Exactly." So that's the Carl Rice. That's who it is.
Oh, is
So
he?
I've never been confused for him before, but yeah, I think if you Google Carl Rice, it's going to come up with him first, I would imagine.
Yeah. And I thought, well, is he also an actor? Because I wasn't sure. I was trying to figure it out because I searched for the image, and I was thinking, is this him? I was like that. Maybe he's also an actor, not just a drummer, but
We've probably got similar hairlines now. That's about it.
and from being from Liverpool as well. So that's what sort of like threw me off. It was like maybe it is him. And I just
Yeah.
didn't realize, but
So, I,
so it's
so
not him.
I'm actually from the Wirral, so I'm not actually a true Scouser. I'm what they'd call a woollyback. So I'm from Wallasey, when you take the ferry over or the tunnel over. So yeah.
Yeah. I always feel like I've told my husband about this. I don't think he's heard of that term before, woolly back.
Yeah.
And the first time I said that to him, I said, "What does that mean?" I was like, "It's all just it's all just Liverpool. It's Merseyside.
Yeah,
They're all houses." No, it's different. If you're from over on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a different Carl Rice. So you're
Yeah.
Carl Rice's drummer. And you're from Liverpool. No, not from Liverpool, but
Near
Wallasey.
Liverpool, yeah.
Near Liverpool. Yeah. So, what was Wallasey like when you were growing up?
Well, Wallasey. So I lived in New Brighton, and so when I was younger, when I was very young, we had the New Brighton open air swimming baths, which at the time were like the biggest in Europe. So that was practically on my doorstep. So that was great. It was great having that. But I also lived literally 100 meters from a park, and that's practically where I grew up in, with a lot of friends. I'm in a Facebook group with them now called the Vale Park Veterans, because we all used to play in Vale Park together.
Oh.
And so yeah, there's lots of good memories from when I was a kid from there, because as I say, we right by the sea, right by the promenade, and right by the park. So from that perspective, it was a great place to be a young kid.
Yeah. Well, New Brighton now they've done it up.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's lovely, yeah.
But it wasn't like that when you were. Do you still live in New Brighton?
So I live in Wallasey Village. It's literally just like it's 10 minutes walk from New Brighton. It's 10 minutes walk from the seafront. So no, back in the kind of the late 80s, I think it was, we had a huge storm, which really damaged the swimming pool, and so the swimming pool ended up getting knocked down. And for a good few decades, New Brighton was kind of a lot of it was left to kind of wreck and ruin. So it was there was a lot of kind of just land there doing nothing. You still had some pubs and clubs down there, and it was still always busy in the summer, because the beach is nice, although back in the 80s again it wasn't as nice as what it is now. But I think it might have been about 15 years ago they started doing up the front, and they've got all of the buildings by the Marine Lake now. Lots of restaurants there, and the Floral Pavilion has been rebuilt as well. But then also when you go down Victoria Road, there's a local guy called Danny Davis, I think his name is, who's really kind of like regenerated and rejuvenated the area there as well, with lots of pubs and stuff. So New Brighton's it's great at the moment. It's a nice place to go, particularly down Victoria Roadway. Yeah,
because I remember during lockdown, we went there. No, not during lockdown, but after, when it's opened up again.
Yeah. Did you go for an eye test?
It was just fantastic, and I love New Brighton. They have all these murals as well. They have all these things that's on the wall and everything.
Yeah. So you got loads of mermaids down there. There's all sorts of.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
It's great. And we try and spend time down there, especially during the summer. And if you go by the Derby pool, it's really shallow, quite far out. And it's quite warm as well. The water gets quite warm, but it is nice down there. We're very lucky to have a place like that on your doorstep. I don't think I could ever live inland now. I would always need to live by the coast. I couldn't live kind of like not near the water.
Oh really? Wow. Yeah. So do you swim?
No, I don't. I can swim, but I don't. Although when I take my son, I mentioned to you earlier, I've got a son who's autistic, who absolutely loves water, and he dives in head first on all his clothes. So I'm practically swimming when I'm with him, to keep him alive, basically. But no, I've got a few friends who do swim in the sea down there as well, and I think it's. You see them going up and down in the Marine Lake there and stuff like that. Marine Lake's quite a greeny colour at the moment, though, so I'm not sure I'd want to swim in it myself. But no, I don't really swim down there, but it's nice to have a paddle every now and again.
Right, that's it. We're live again. I'm so sorry about that. I still don't know what's wrong with the StreamYard. it happens from time to time. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but I think when I stop using it, and then I have to restart again with this system. But anyways, we're back,
Yeah,
and we were talking about New Brighton.
yeah.
So I had to restart my computer. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to look for famous people, famous musicians from Wallasey on New Brighton.
Not, no, there's not. I don't know whether there's. Well, I do know there's one actually. Um, so opposite me in my new house. So in new house. So we moved into this house around about 2014, and before we moved into the house, we looked at a one over the road. And when we were over the road, we went up into the loft and stuff like that, and we were just looking at the house before we were potentially going to buy it. And there was a gold disc on the wall.
Oh.
And the gold disc was actually from the single "Wake Up Boo" by the Boo Radleys, and
No.
yeah. So the lady there was the mum of Martin Carr, who wrote the song for the Boo Radleys,
wow.
and so he used to live opposite. They used to practice in the garage or the front room, I believe, right opposite the road from where I live, and. Martin's down in Cardiff now, so when he used to come up and see his mum, we've got sons who are quite similar ages, and so they used to play out in the street together, and so I kind of just got chatting to Martin and stuff, and obviously I knew who he was because the Boo Radleys were massive in the 90s.
Yeah.
When they were moving out, so his mum moved just down the road a few years ago, and she said, "Carl, I've got these. I don't know what to do with them. Martin doesn't want them." So I went over, and it was the gold disc for the single "Wake Up Boo," and it was the silver disc for the album as well. So I've got those upstairs in my bedroom. So I need to put them on the wall or something, but I'm only, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just kind of minding them, because I would imagine that when his kids get older, that would be the kind of thing that they would like to have. But yeah, there's a little bit of Britpop history in the house at the moment, and as I say, I do still sometimes keep in touch with Martin. He was supporting the Charlatans in Liverpool a few years ago, and I was ready to go, but I caught COVID, so I didn't end up going to it. But yeah. So Martin used to live over the road, and there's a few other guys. Elvis Costello, I believe, was from Birkenhead originally, and then you've got the guys from OMD as well.
Yeah.
So when I used to be in a band called in a trio called Bovine Journey, who was a great band, and the guitarist from that band's gone on to form Just Radiohead, who are really incredible tribute. And you got Mike Ryan, who's so that's Sean, who's formed Just Radiohead, and then you got Mike Ryan, who does a lot of he does original stuff now. Won lots of awards, but when we were practicing one day, OMD were in the next room to us, and so I was like, right, I need to make the most of this. So I went next door and had a little listen to them singing in Ola Gay whilst they were practicing for their European tour. So I was like really close up seats to them. So yeah, that was great.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history there, because I mean, my script is actually going to say about what I say about Liverpool, that produces all these, talented people, especially music. It's a music city, and I mean, from the Beatles and everything, there's so much legacy there. So what is it you think that makes Liverpool have all these wonderful musicians?
I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you where the. So obviously, a lot. If you ask most musicians locally, they will all say that somewhere or the other, the Beatles have inspired them, and they've listened to Beatles records, and there's no escaping the Beatles when you're in Liverpool. You can't escape it. That's not a bad thing either, because no matter where you go, there's always bars playing their music. There's bars dedicated to the Beatles. You've got the Cavern Club there, which is a massive, it's a world famous pub and bar. There's just music everywhere in Liverpool, and I think the Beatles have probably got a lot to answer for that. But I honestly wouldn't know what inspired the Beatles, to be honest. I've not looked into it, but I think they probably showed that if they can do it, then anyone can have a go. I think we're really lucky in Liverpool that there's lots of really good music venues. Everybody's lots of people are picking up guitars and playing, but also I think live music in Liverpool, especially, is something that people are always interested in, and people want to go. People will support live music and go to see the bands and stuff like that. So, yeah, Liverpool is a great place to be a musician because there's just so many venues out there, and people just love the music in Liverpool, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, it's right that you mentioned that there's so many live music venues in Liverpool. Maybe that's one of the main factors, because if there are all these grassroots venues,
Yeah,
then they'll you've got to have musicians to sort of like fill these places
yeah,
and everything. So other cities, or maybe there's not as many live music venues.
mm.
Maybe they're not as inspired as the as the young ones from Liverpool. But are you from a musical family yourself?
Not one bit. No. Apologies to any of my family who are watching and think they are musical. No, not really. I think from my family, really, my music memories come from maybe when we were going on holiday and stuff like that. And no matter what time of day, there was always the radio on. And so whenever I hear all those 80s songs, like Nick Kershaw or maybe Pet Shop Boys or whatever, loads of 80s bands, it just immediately takes me back to the 80s when I was on holiday. So all those 80s songs were just constantly on repeat when we were going camping and stuff like that. I think whilst musically no one plays anything, but we still had a record player, and I kind of remember in the 90s I used to listen to the records that my dad had. So one of my favourite albums is Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one that my dad kind of showed me, listen to this, and then all of a sudden, Money for Nothing came in with that drum intro and stuff like that. I must learn that drum intro, by the way. I've never learned that. But you've got like all those songs. So you've got like the Walk of Life, Brothers in Arms, the actual song. You've got Money for Nothing. You've got So Far Away. All those songs, and I love them. But there was also kind of like some John Lennon ones there as well. So there was a few John Lennon albums. And I also remember my auntie lending the Blue and Red Beatles album, which I played on the record. But back then, of course, you could record it on a tape, couldn't you, as well? So I think that's probably kind of like the earliest musical kind of like influence that I'd had, was kind of like those records and just constantly having the radio on, really.
Yeah, because I think that Dire Straits album, Brothers in Arms, isn't it the first CD that was produced?
I think it is, actually. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
And there were so many people bought that album.
Another famous musician from Wallasey, down the road, and I don't think he played on Brothers in Arms, but down the road we've got Pick Withers, who is I think he was the first Dire Straits drummer, who lives just by Vale Park. So there's another famous person from Wallasey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you've got your share of famous musicians from your part.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, there's a few. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned a drum part in that Dire Straits album that you wanted to learn. So is that what got you into drumming, or
no? So my story about how I first started playing drums is probably really unorthodox compared to anybody else. So, this is where people go like, "What, really?" Do you remember in the kind of mid-noughties when there was a game came out called Guitar Hero?
Oh yeah, yes.
So I loved that game. I still play Xbox and stuff like that now, and I love that game. And I got Guitar Hero, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so much fun. It's nothing like playing guitar at all, but it was great because it started like playing all of the you could play along to the songs that I'd kind of listened to.
I think the most famous one is "Are You Gonna Go My Way" by
So that was on.
I played that as well.
Yeah, that was on the next one.
Oh, is it the next one?
So after Guitar Hero, they came Rock Band.
Oh right.
And so I started playing Rock Band, but with Rock Band they had this little plastic drum kit. But if you got to like the advanced levels, it was like playing basic drums. And so I just loved it, and I became quite obsessed with this game. We used to get all my friends round to our house on a Saturday night, and we'd all be singing to the Oasis songs, playing Guitar Hero and Rock Band and stuff like that, till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd have a few beers and stuff. They were the best days. It was brilliant, and this is before I had kids, obviously. But then for my 30th birthday, my wife bought me a drum kit, and so I didn't actually get a proper drum kit until I was 30. So that Rock Band was probably around about 2007, and I just loved playing it, and it was just a game to me. But I remember on my 30th birthday, my wife Hannah, she got me she said, "Oh, come upstairs and look at this," and I went upstairs into the box room, and I thought there was lots of kind of like big round, and I thought, what am I going to do with like a massive lampshade? Because that's what it was at first. And then I looked again, and it was a set of drums which I needed to put together. And so I put these drums together, and because I'd played this Rock Band, I could straight away play basic beats on the drums and stuff like that. And so that was great because I think sometimes people turn around and say, "I would like to play guitar," and you get a guitar, and you're like, "Oh, where do I start?"
Yeah.
With the drums, I put it together, and I was like, I know exactly how to play this at a very basic level, and so I just started playing. And I think Hannah thought it was probably just going to be like a kind of short-lived thing, but I just became utterly obsessed with it. I got my little book out of Learn to Play Drums beginner level, and I was spending time doing all of the little drills and stuff like that, practicing rudiments, and then I just became obsessed by it. And within about 7 months, I joined a full covers band who had been going for about 10 years, and then I've just carried on since. I've never stopped since.
Yeah. Well, that's massive thanks to Hannah for.
Oh God, yeah, without a doubt, because when because I listened to a lot of music when I was a kid, particularly kind of like obviously in the 90s you had all of the Britpop stuff. In the 80s it was kind of, I'd mainly listened to stuff whilst we were away camping and stuff like that. But in the kind of when I went to university, because music wasn't as portable as it was now, I kind of didn't really listen to that much music at all. And then I met Hannah, and Hannah was kind of like she was always like, I'd love to get the new Killers album or the new Snow Patrol album and stuff like that. And so there was constantly music on there, and she kind of fed that for me, and then obviously bought that drum kit for me. And poor Hannah has been a slave to music ever since.
No, that's very good. Thank you, Hannah, for doing that. So you didn't go and have a proper drumming lesson with someone? You just taught yourself how to do it?
No, never had a lesson. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and you know what? You'll be able to tell that I've never had a lesson when other drummers would be able to tell that I've never had a lesson, because technically wise, I'm not great. I never did all my rudiments or my paradiddles and stuff like that. I never really did that. The way I kind of learned was because I joined a covers band straight away, pretty much within 7 months of learning. It was just kind of like listen and repeat. So I would spend hours and hours and hours trying to work out what was happening on the drums and in songs. Yeah. And I'd watch YouTube videos, and I'd Google, how to play this part in this particular song, and where people would slow it down. So YouTube was great, and I just spent hours and hours just copying what was happening and stuff like that. And so that I learned things as I went along, basically. So no, I never had any lessons, but it was more kind of like, before you know it, I would be playing a paradiddle when I was playing, because I'd practiced that much and I'd had to learn that much and stuff like that. So yeah, no, never any lessons for me.
But it's so like natural. It came natural to you. Like it's almost like, you didn't have any lessons, but when you were just watching YouTube. So,
I suppose it was a really quick transition, to be honest, because
And
Um,
it's only 7 months, you said, and then you joined.
yeah, yeah,
Are we talking about the Doors Rising then?
yeah. 7 months plus 3 months on plus 3 years on Rock Band.
Oh,
But no, yeah, it was about 7 months. I told the band, so I'm still friends with the guys from the band who were called the Foundry, and a really brilliant local band, and that's where I kind of learnt the trade, to be honest.
yeah.
So there was Adam first on guitar, then we had Neil or Niggsy on guitar, but then we had Darren on keys, Graham on bass, and then Glenn was singing. They were all brilliant. They're all really like top musicians. And when I first tried out for them, like, so how long have you been playing for, Carl? And I was like, oh, about 8 years, something like that. I was like, I didn't tell them because I didn't think, because I was desperate to join the band and play with other people. But I didn't want to say that I had no experience at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, thankfully, I managed to blag my way into it. And yeah, it was literally just kind of like every single night there was like 2 or 3 hours just on the drums playing and just learning stuff and practicing new stuff.
Yeah, because I always ask a guest about this one. That do you think to be a drummer, it's like a natural thing that you've got to have it, and not just sort of like learn it.
I don't know, to be honest. I honestly don't know, because by rights, I'm kind of like, I find it, it's strange. I obviously I play drums and I am a drummer, but I'm not kind of how can I say this? I don't consider myself to be a kind of like muso or something like that. I love live music and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's to me, I look at other people and I just think, oh wow, they're amazing. I'll never be that good. But then I keep practicing, and sometimes I might get up to that standard. And I think it's I think I would probably say I'm a humble drummer. I whether people are natural in terms of getting in there, I think if you love the music, you'll be able to learn it, because you'll be able to learn the timing and you'll be able to learn what happens next and how it should sound. So I think that's probably the most important thing to me, is that, if you love the music, then you can do it. But I would say to anybody, and I have said to anybody, when people have said, their kids are having problems kind of like learning drums when they're like 7 or 8 and they've hit a brick wall and stuff like that, I'm like, your kid has got like a 23-year head start over me, so just keep going. I always used to say, I'd get frustrated about learning stuff when I just couldn't get my hands in the right place, and it took me ages to be able to develop independence in my left foot when I was drumming. But I always used to say to myself, I'll be able to do it next year if I keep practicing.
Yeah.
That was the thing I always used to say to myself, because I think when I was in a band and I was learning new songs all of the time, sometimes I'd surprise myself by how I'd pick something up, and it was literally just pure tenacity of just kind of like, right, I will make sure I learn this.
Yeah. Is Rock Band still? Is it still? I don't know. Do people still play it, or is it also like obsolete now? The people
it's behind my TV in the back room. My wife keeps saying to me, "When will you get rid of that?" Oh my god! I'm like, I'm not getting rid of it. And every now and again, when if everybody goes up to bed early, I get Rock Band out, and I'll just get the guitar and I'll put the headphones in for the TV so nothing comes out, and I'll put the volume up and I'll just go and play the old songs and stuff like that. Maybe on a Saturday night after match of the day or something. I love it, absolutely love it. It introduced me to so many bands as well.
Yeah,
it was brilliant. Yeah, what a game that was.
Yeah, I remember my daughter had the Guitar Heroes. I'm not sure if she had the Rock Band, but I remember she did have Guitar Heroes. So how many bands were you in as a drummer before you joined the Doors Rising?
So I'd probably say where I was like in a band where we gigged together regularly, I would say I was probably in about 3 before the Doors Rising. Obviously there was a few kind of like things in the midst of it, and met some great people doing things in the midst of it as well, where we were looking to try and get a band going, and things just never kind of worked out. Sometimes people end up going their separate ways and stuff like that, because it can be difficult with the level of commitment with everybody, including me at some point as well. So I was in 3 bands prior to this. So I was in the Foundry, who we did kind of like, it was like indie rock covers.
Okay.
We had one called Bovine Journey, where we did kind of like sounds of Seattle and stuff like that. So it was stuff like Nirvana, but we chucked a bit of Radiohead in there. But it was kind of like sounds of Seattle or 90s kind of like alternative rock. And
grunge, like grunge music. And
yeah. So we play like Foo Fighters, but we'd also play Nirvana. We play
Pearl Jam,
Smashing Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, those kind of bands. Yeah. And then after that, we joined the C90s, which was a 90s Britpop band.
Okay,
that was great. I absolutely loved that band. And again, there was 5 of us in that, and it was a really great laugh between us. And I think we were just lining up a lot of gigs. We'd had gigs for like the Beer Keller in Liverpool and stuff like that, and we were just starting to line up a lot of gigs. We were just about to start taking off, and then COVID hit.
Oh no!
I think with a lot of bands, or COVID probably caused a lot of people to lose momentum during those times.
Yeah.
And so when COVID hit, we had the guitarist left the band, and it was just hard to get up and running. But I'd kind of already auditioned for The Doors Rising around about 4 years previously. And it just wasn't the right time for me because they were really quite ambitious at the time, and I just didn't know what I could commit to at that time. But I'd kept in touch with Stu. And I just messaged him over COVID, or he may have done it to me, and he mentioned that they're potentially looking for another drummer. And at the time I was like, well, I'm in the C90s. I was like, but I was also interested in it because I was kind of at a point now where I could probably commit a little bit more time. And I said, well, if you need somebody to kind of help or just chip in whilst you're kind of finding your feet again after COVID and you look for a new drummer, then and do it. And then I think as time went on, and the C90s wasn't keeping that momentum, I was just like, right, actually, the Doors band sounds a lot more appealing to me now. And then the rest. I kind of tried out for the Doors Rising again the same day that Andy on keys tried out as well. So, after that, and then funnily enough, when I played the first gig for the Doors Rising, it was in Vale Park that I mentioned before. It was on the bandstand there.
Oh yeah. So it's like your hometown.
Yeah. It was great.
Hometown gig. Yeah.
I'd always wanted to play Vale Park. I would always wanted to kind of like do something on the bandstand and stuff like that. I've spent so many years down there, and there was all sorts of shows. They have brass bands on there and all sorts. And it was great when I could get up there for like 45 minutes. It was brilliant.
But have you ever been in doing original material?
No. When I first started playing, I was looking for absolutely anything, and there was there's a website called joinmyband.co.uk. It's like classifieds, but for musicians. Like come and join our band, or is anybody interested in this? I went on that, and I saw a local band called Daywalker, and that was an originals band. But this was literally only 2 months after I'd started, after I got a drum kit. And so I was kind of with them for a while. And then, you see, for me, because I joined drumming so late, and I was a fan of live music. I liked going to local bars and stuff like that and watching bands and just having fun. To me, I wasn't really interested in the original music.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was just like, at that time, I was like, I'm 30 years old now. I probably just want to have a bit of fun. And I don't think I've got any designs on making it as a signed artist or anything like that. And I was just like, I just want to go and have fun. I just want to meet new people, make new mates, play drums, and then just have fun. And that's kind of how I felt about it ever since, to be honest. I just enjoy playing. I know it's tributes or covers and stuff like that, but for me, that's enough because it keeps me busy. It's a really great hobby to have,
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah,
know, you meet great people as well, and it comes without the stress of having to kind of like fund your own way through the originals world, because you know there's not that much money there.
yeah.
I've got a good friend who's, you know, starts up his own record label to help people make their way in kind of music, and he's doing brilliant. But for me, it was probably too much effort, and I was just kind of like, no, I just want to go out there and play.
What they say to me, like I said it earlier in the show, that for some music fans or gig goers, you know, as soon as you tell them that you're going to go and see a tribute band, you know, it doesn't matter whether Doors or Echo the Bunnymen or
Yeah,
Echoes of the Bunnymen they're called,
yeah,
they so like immediately dismiss it and say, oh, you know, why go and see tribute bands? Just go. I mean, the Doors, you can't see the original Doors anymore because
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
but what do you say to those people when they just dismiss all
I
these?
just say it's very simple. It's kind of like, don't go and watch them then. And you know, or good luck going to see the Doors, because that'll never happen. You know what I
It
mean?
will never happen.
I think
That's right. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think for me, and it goes back to the Liverpool music scene again. For me, um, the tribute bands. I used to love going to watch tribute bands because we had the Matthew Street Festival in Liverpool. I don't know if you ever went there.
yeah.
Um, but every year you had the Matthew Street Festival on. There was lots of stages dotted around the city. There was
Oh,
tens of thousands of people who would go to the Matthew Street Festival. On every stage, there were tributes from all over the world playing music, and everyone was loving it. And you know, it's fun, isn't it? Are you having a go at people for having fun? Is that what it is? Like, okay,
yeah.
it's about you.
And also the good thing about it is most of the time you know all the songs, so you can sing along.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, you can choose to listen to somebody on your phone, or you know, however you listen to music on your record and stuff like that. That's great. But if you like live music and you like listening to bands who just aren't around anymore, then why not go and see a good tribute? Because lots of them are amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, on your website, because the Doors Rising has got its own website, and no wonder they call you like drum obsessed, because it was like the drum obsessed drummer. And now I understand why, because you're just really into, drums
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've actually Googled how many the Doors tribute bands there are in the UK, but I think you can't really tell how many. But there are three notable ones, and one of them is the Doors Rising,
Yeah.
and then the other one is the Doors Alive. I think that's the one that goes internationals. But do you go travel, not just or do gigs not just in the UK, but do you go outside the UK as well as the Doors
Yeah,
Rising?
so the band has played in Greece as part of there's a lady who we work with called Lynn, and she does kind of music events across the country, but she also does it once a year in Greece as well. And we played that a few years ago. I've not been able to do that because it's just it's quite a large commitment, because you need to go out there for a week, and so for me it's quite a large commitment. But also we did play for earlier this year. We did a 4-day tour of the Netherlands. So we played there for 4 days, and next year the Netherlands is booked in again. Although I'm not sure, I don't think I'll be able to do that one again just because of all the commitments and stuff. But there's also rumours of kind of like a weekend in Germany as well. So yeah, there's lots of demand out there for the band, and you know, wherever we've been, we've always had a really great reception. I think for me, I've whilst all my kids aren't, you know, they're not completely young, they're not infants, but there's a lot of demands in our household for our children, particularly with like additional needs and stuff like that. And so going away for a long period of time is quite difficult for me. But there is demand out there, and the band is kind of growing as well. So that's a great thing, and you know, we have had some really great. Earlier this year, we had a great time out in the Netherlands. But it's strange because people are like, oh wow, you've been to the Netherlands to gig, and it's like, what was the Netherlands like? And it's like, Well, it was flat, but also I didn't really know because all we did was travel to a venue, set up, play, take down, go and sleep, and that was kind of it for 4 days. So, you see a lot of
Yeah.
motorways and stuff like that, but you don't really get much time to go and explore or
The
so.
sightseeing. It's like,
Yeah, so the local culture, or when you do get the time, you're so tired, you probably just want to go to sleep, to be honest.
So, how long have you been doing the Doors Rising?
So I joined them. I think it was 2021. So it was literally just after COVID.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I originally tried out for them around about, I think it was 2017 or maybe 16. I'm not sure. But at that time, it was just it was just a bit too difficult for me to do because that was, as I say, they kind of had a lot of ambition of what they wanted to do and traveling around the country to do gigs and stuff like that. And I was just kind of like, I couldn't really commit to that at that time. But now when I joined in 2021, we started off kind of doing gigs local, and one of my favourite places to play is a place in Birkenhead called the Swinging Arm. And if you're ever, if for whatever reason you're ever in Birkenhead, go to the Swinging Arm because it is an absolutely brilliant place. They have the top musicians on there all the time, and so we were playing kind of places like that with them. We played some places in Southport, and then we played in that year. We also played in the Cavern, which was brilliant. And then we've kind of just grown up from there, really. And credit to Stu, to be fair, because Stu does a lot of hard work in promoting, and we're with an agent now, and the agent gets us some great gigs. But to be fair to Stu, Stu's the real driving force behind the band.
Yeah, well, you're going to be playing the Cavern again in November.
Yeah.
I've got it in my diary, so I have to make sure that I go there and see you. Because the only time I go to Birkenhead, there's a place called the Future Yard or Future.
Yeah.
So have you played there?
No, we've not played there.
No.
We've not played there. It's quite near the Future Yard, and we tend not to do too many local gigs now, because we play the Cavern. And what we don't want to do, we don't want to kind of like saturate the local audience. So we played earlier on this year in Jacaranda Records, which is in the Baltic
Triangle, yeah.
Keynes Brewery area. We'll play the Cavern. I think they're the only two gigs we'll have done this year, in kind of like local, because if you keep playing local, then people are probably just going to get bored of you. I've never played the Future Yard.
You have to go to different places.
Yeah.
You have to go to different places now.
Yeah.
You're obviously a fan of the Doors, or is it something that you've got to learn to join the Doors tribute band?
So, I always knew of the Doors, and I always quite liked the Doors. I liked, especially the big hits like LA Woman, Give Me Two Times, those kind of songs. Yeah. But it wasn't really until I joined them and started listening more to the back catalogue, and I was like, oh, actually, I really like this. So I'm more of a fan now than what I was previously, because some of the songs are just absolutely fantastic, and the lyrics in there are absolutely brilliant, and musically wise as well, it sounds great.
It was. I think the Doors are quite big in Liverpool. I think there's a lot of Liverpool people, or maybe in the world as well. Because I don't know if you know the Liverpoolian poet called Roy.
Right. Okay.
PJ Smith.
I'm not too sure, to be honest. No.
Because there was one piece that he, I used to go and see Roy because he used to open for McKed quite a lot in those days. And he's got this piece where there's the breaking through to the other side, and I think that it's something to do with like Liverpool life or
okay,
or something. So I was just thinking,
check that out.
Yeah, it could be something that the Liverpool people just love. They just love the Doors or something. But anyways, so did you research John Densmore then, or did you do?
I did.
Finding out about him,
Yeah, I'd when I say research, I kind of like looked for a lot of the live videos that he'd play. So I kind of changed my drum kit around to look a little bit like his. We've got the Mod Orange kit and stuff like that. Which, to be honest, my kit's only quite a cheap kit, but the way John Densmore used to tune his drums, he used to just completely dampen the sound out of them, so there was only ever a thud. And so I don't think really it matters too much what kind of kit you have with them, because it's really easy to find a sound, because you just make sure everything's kind of like loose, if you like, and get the studs going. And I try and have it in the kind of same place, you know, where the cymbals are and stuff like that, all out to my own comfort. Yeah, I spent a lot of time watching the videos that, or you know, some of the videos that were there, but obviously most of the live kind of like stuff always focused on Jim or Ray, really. And so I spent most of my time really just kind of like listening to it over and over again, like I did when I very first started playing drums, just listening to it over and over again to try and hear all those little nuances and stuff like that in the background, you know, all those little kind of like ghost fill notes and all of the you know, where he'd hit a cymbal and the timing of things and stuff like that. And it's quite difficult to pick out, I think, sometimes, because I find a lot of the old Doors stuff, sometimes I find it really difficult to pick some of the stuff out, particularly the bass pedal, for example. So sometimes I have to make up my kind of own little thing that's going on there, because I can't hear it at all.
Yeah, because when you opened, when I saw you in Manchester, you started with just you. You're the first one.
Yeah.
You came on stage and you did a solo. So like a solo drum before every single member of the band joined you. But you were there first. Was that something that the Doors used to do?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think it was. So the song he's talking about is a song called "Who Do You Love," and it's actually a cover. And I've heard it played live, but I've never seen anything. I've never seen any videos of it being played live. And I think we just decided that it was kind of like a good opener. You know, it's not, you don't want to start off a set with one of the big hits, because sometimes people are going to be in the loo, or you know, they're going to be at the bar. And so we were kind of thinking, you know, it's a good opener because it kind of pricks people's ears up, and they're like, oh right, it started now. But it's also a great song in its own right as well. So it's just kind of like an intro. We were just kind of thinking, you know, not that it's massively theatrical, but we were just kind of thinking, what can we do kind of like different to start off? And so I just start playing the drums, and it's one of those ones where people can just come in and out when they please, really. It's kind of like more of a jam, although we do stick to kind of like a song structure. Yeah, one by one, it just means people can kind of walk out, and it's a slow intro, and it kind of just gets people's interest at the start.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really good that you're there first. You know, you're doing your solo bit first, and then before the guitarist. And
there's
then
a funny story about that, actually, because when we were in, I think we were in, was it Lichfield last year? So we were in this big church, and we'd agreed to go on at a certain time, and so I'd gone on and started playing that, and then Andy came on the stage and he started doing the bass line and stuff like that, and then Martin should come on. But Martin just wasn't there, and I was thinking, surely he's going to walk on the stage any time now, and and he just wasn't coming on. And so me and Andy are looking at each other, going, "Where's Martin? Where's Martin?" And we were like, "Oh no!" And then I looked in the background, and then there's Martin stuck in the queue at the bar ordering drinks. I'm just like, "What are you doing?" in his own time. He came on in his own time. He just plopped his drinks down. He put his guitar on. And he was just really kind of like nice and chill. And then he just started playing. And I was just like, don't believe that. We've been for 15 minutes, you know.
Oh, that's brilliant. But I don't know if you know this, but the story about John Densmore, I had this drummer on the show last year, Tony James. Have you heard of Tony James? He's the father of Tony McGuigan.
Yeah.
But he's also called Tony McGuigan as well, Tony James, real name. And the story is he almost became the drummer in the Doors, but he declined the offer. And that's
okay.
Oh, yeah, and that's how John Densmore got the part, because he didn't want to play.
What a decision! What a decision! That's a slide of those moments, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing, because I think he's in his 80s now. Yeah, I'm sure he's in his 80s. But he was like, when he was younger, he was hobnobbing with Frank Sinatra, Sammy
Yeah.
Davis.
Oh God. Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's well, I think that's what it is. If it's for you,
Yeah.
things happen for a reason.
Yeah. You can imagine that'd be something that would go over your head quite a lot of times, can't you?
Yeah. Um. So I don't know. Have you heard the recent? It was fairly recent news about the Field Music that
Yeah.
they've also started doing the Doors tribute band as
Yeah.
well. So it's not just like with the tribute, even what they call proper bands. They will start doing this
Yeah.
these tributes. It's just to earn money, isn't it? Because sometimes, I mean, it's a bit difficult nowadays.
Yeah. I think it is, and I think when you listen to the charts at the moment, there's not much music out there for full bands. It's a lot of the time it is kind of like solo people who have a backing band, and there's nothing against that because my daughter went to watch Taylor Swift last year, and Taylor Swift, she's like a global icon, isn't she? And my daughter absolutely loved it. And I quite like Sam Fender as well, but he'll have a backing band behind him. So a lot of the kind of bands at the moment, or a lot of the music out there at the moment, is kind of like one person with a backing band, and it's usually the name of the person who's the headliner. And so I don't know, is it like that because it's just easier for record companies to manage? Is it easier to mold them? Are bands more difficult to kind of promote and pay for and stuff like that? I don't know, but it's not easy being a full band. And I think going back to Field Music, who I think are the Fire Doors. I've watched and listened to what they've said, and they've had quite a lot of media attention over it as well. And it's each to their own and stuff. And a lot of people do frown, saying, "Oh, we're going to have to go and do tribute now just to make money." And it's like, well, do you know what? Have fun with the music. And I think the fact that they've covered the Doors just shows that a lot of people want to hear them and great.
That's true.
So I've got you see to me, because I'm not one of those kind of like original kind of like musicians from a child trying to make it big and stuff like that. I came to it really late. I just wanted to have fun with it. It wasn't something that I'd ever envisaged kind of like having a career out of. I just thought, every now and again I might pick up £50 from a gig or something. So for me, I literally don't care what anybody says about being in a covers band or a tribute band. I'm just having fun. And I think but I think for other people, they might have that opinion and stuff like that, but it is difficult to make it out there. And if people want to go and do tributes, then so be it. There's demand out there for them, because we sell out venues across the country, and we've done so across Europe as well. So obviously we're doing something right, and obviously people want to see them. So
I'm not sure if it's the Doors Rising that played with Echoes of the Bunnymen, or it's another The Doors. Did you
I think that was
that?
No, I think that was Doors Alive. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's another band. I love Echoes of the Bunnymen, but I also love their other band, their original band, which is the Ambulist.
All right, okay. I've not heard the original stuff.
But it would have been nicer if they sort of like play the Ambulist, so like the same as doing Echoes of the Bunnymen. But I think they're touring as Echoes of the Bunnymen more because there's demand for it.
Yeah, but, there is a demand out there. It just goes to show, doesn't it? It's like sometimes people just want to hear what's familiar, and it's really difficult because I think you've got to be really unique and kind of like, and it's really difficult for originals bands. But tribute bands are great as far as I'm concerned. I've always loved a good tribute band.
Yeah, well, Stuart Capstick, I mean, you look at him and you can see the resemblance there. You can see that he does look a bit like Jim Morrison. But did you ever thought, okay, I'm gonna look up some of Don Densmore photographs and make myself look like him? Or
it's going to be pretty difficult for me to make myself look like Don Densmore. I'm probably about twice as wide, a lot taller, and far less hair. I do try and wear kind of, maybe my shirts and stuff like that. I try and wear kind of something that might be from the 60s or the early 70s and stuff like that. I was chatting to Stu about this the other week when we went out for a beer, and I think the way we play, and this is there's no criticism of any of the other tribute bands out there at all, no matter which part. A lot of tribute bands will play kind of like note for note, and and we'll do it. We'll do an amazing job, but I think we do it slightly different. We're not a lookalike band, although Stu is great at the front. Stu's he's the spearhead, isn't he? Stu's great, and he's got the mannerisms and stuff like that. In the background, we kind of like provide the music, and I think we try and keep it really kind of raw, and we try and keep it kind of like loud and stuff like that. And I think Stu said it the other week. He said we're more of a continuation of what the Doors potentially could have been had they carried on, in terms of how they would play and the live music that they play. So the live performances from the Doors were very different to what you heard on an album. And I don't think the Doors ever played a song the same twice in any live performance, and so it gives you a little bit of kind of like room to be creative from an individual perspective, whilst also obviously staying true to it. But no, sadly, there's no chance of me ever looking like John Densmore, unless all of a sudden a really bad kind of like health problem or something, maybe.
No, but Stuart's also got a bit of an American accent as well.
He has.
Something that he practices when he
he definitely does. He will say, no, I don't practice it at all. I can see him in the mirror with a comb or the brush, looking at himself, having a conversation with himself. Definitely happens.
Well, Aiden said that I think tribute bands do a great service. A few years ago, he saw early 70s Genesis, which he was too young to see them in the day. Which I mean, I know some of the Doors songs, but obviously I was too young to see them. And it's great, seeing the Doors rising. And I really enjoyed that gig in Manchester, actually.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of shows until the end of the year. One of them is the Cavern. I'm definitely going to go there. And I wanted to make sure that this time I'm going to ask for a photograph with you. I didn't want it.
Definitely. You can sit on the drums and I'll get a picture of you on the drum kit.
Because I remember that time in Manchester, you were really busy. So, you're getting your drum kit together. I did ask you to sign my poster, though. And I spoke to Stuart a bit and asked for a photograph with him. But I just thought, well, I don't like disturbing the drummer if they're trying to get their kit together. And it's but how are you with people wanting to have photos with you? Are you okay with that?
It doesn't really happen very often, in all honesty. Nobody's really interested in the drummer at the back, but I'm more than happy to have a photo of people. It still does happen, and when I used to go and watch bands myself, and when I would watch tribute bands and stuff like that, I'd always feel quite embarrassed about going up and speaking to them and saying hello and saying I really enjoyed it or whatever. So if I see somebody kind of like loitering, I'll just make sure to say hello, because I know sometimes people are kind of might get kind of like what's the etiquette in this situation. So I see people there, I just say hello and thanks for coming and stuff, because people have just paid money to come watch, and hopefully they've enjoyed it. And if it can be made a little bit nicer by just saying hello and having a chat with them, then I'm really happy to do that, because I'm really grateful to everyone who comes and watches.
No, I like having photos, especially with drummers, but sometimes, like you said, you don't know whether, because I have had an experience in the past. I mean, it was like a long, long time ago, but I could understand that he was a bit upset because he was trying to put all his gear together, and I think and this was the support band, so it's not the main band. So, and then there I was asking for a photograph or something. I was like, of course, he said. He didn't say anything. He just turned around and.
That's not very nice, though, is it?
No, but it's okay.
Yeah.
That's why I always make sure that, okay, I'm gonna wait until everything is packed up and then they're all just sort of like backstage or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, so hopefully at the cabin club, I can have a
Yeah,
look.
definitely. You can definitely. Yeah, well, let's. If you, I'll make sure to seek you out beforehand, and we can have a chat.
So when you're not touring, when you're not doing the doors rising, what keeps you busy? Not just playing rock band.
Yeah. So we live in a really busy and probably chaotic household. So I'm a civil servant by day, so I work from home 2 days a week and work in the office 3 days a week, although it's kind of flipped at the moment. My wife is going to be starting a new job in a school soon, obviously the 3 kids. So with Charlie and Chloe, we spend a lot of time taking them to kind of like the football and the rugby and stuff like that. But I think with so my 12-year-old who's soon to be 13, Oliver, he's non-verbal autistic. He's diagnosed with a learning disability and with ADHD as well. And so the household is always really busy because my son requires 24-hour supervision. So there's always one of us there. He's got really quite a lot of needs, not necessarily medical needs, but more kind of emotional and care needs and stuff like that. So we're always kind of like doing something. We're always cooking new potatoes, or we're always kind of like, keeping them kind of stimulated or dealing with any issues that kind of arise out of that. But whilst we're also trying to make sure that we give that kind of like love and attention to our other kids as well. And so the vast majority of the time at home is always, a lot of it is kind of like probably fighting fires, if I'm honest, in terms of, making sure that we meet everybody's needs, but making sure that we're not going to get to that point of like an autistic meltdown, for example. And I think I can hear going off in the house right now. It's a kind of constant. It's a constant kind of demand to make sure that we're always on watch and on guard and stuff like that. We take it in, my wife and I, Hannah, we take it in turns to do bedtimes, for example. So my son has a bedtime routine, and we do every other night to do bedtime. So it means that straight away leaves me with kind of like 3 nights a week where I've got to myself, and then like watching the football, for example, with my other kids and stuff like that. But it's not kind of like an easy thing, and it's definitely not for the faint-hearted either. It's a really kind of like tough and demanding life that we have at home, and so we're always busy. We always have stuff to do. There's always things that need sorting out, because on top of managing the things that we have with my son, who's got those disabilities, we need to make sure we all also share that time equally with my other 2 kids. So their emotional needs. And so sometimes when we get to the end of the day, we might not properly sit down till 9:30, 10 o'clock, at which point you're just like, let's go up to bed and just put a series on or something. And we very rarely watch a full episode of something. One of us is always falling asleep, and we'll probably have to rewatch the episode again the next day. So if we watched a 5-episode series, it might take us like 3 weeks to finish it.
So you can't really do like a long tour, so being away for a long time.
And that's it. I think when we went to the Netherlands in April, I think it was, I was away from Thursday, Friday, so I was away for 5 days really. And the ironic thing is Hannah, my wife, is my biggest supporter in terms of the amount of support that she gives and all that, which allows me to kind of like go out and do practice with the band or go away sometimes. It's amazing, and because if I'm away, then she's holding the fort by herself. But the ironic thing is, I might go and play all these venues and have these amazing gigs and meet all these amazing people, but Hannah can never see that, and she can never watch it. So it means kind of like it's a massive sacrifice for her, definitely. one that I'm massively appreciative of. But you know, there's nothing more that I would love than for my wife to come and just come to a gig, and I'd be able to introduce her to all of these people, and I'd be able to bring her backstage and let her sample the beers that we have there or the food that we have, and just have that share that experience with her. But ironically, it's probably very, very likely to happen.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried, like with your son? Because apparently playing drums is good for.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've tried it, but maybe.
Somebody once asked. Somebody once said, "If your son's non-verbal, does that mean it's quiet?" And I was like, I live in the noisiest household in the entire world, and there's not a chance on this earth I would ever give my son a drum to play with.
Oh.
Not a chance. It's noisy enough. Obviously, he's very welcome to go and play on my electric drum kit here, which is where I practice. He's very welcome to play on that. But there is no way on this planet I would ever give him a full set of drums to play on, because it's noisy enough.
So you're always busy, though.
Yeah, we're always busy. One of my favorite ever songs is "Our House" by Madness.
Oh yeah, yes.
I need to get a mural of kind of like, I think it's the first line, isn't it? Our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually quite loud. I need to get that somewhere else, because that depicts everything.
And the kids, have they seen you, or have they seen you play?
They've briefly seen me play. That not too many times. I think because we play away so often. But there's not many local gigs, and when there is a local gig, usually they're at the age where they can't really they can't really come and watch.
Yeah.
I think of the two of them, I think my daughter's probably the one who probably takes a little bit more interest in the actual drums. They both, Charlie and Chloe, both love music, and Oliver as well loves music.
Yeah.
But I think Chloe, I've just got a playlist for her sometimes of Taylor Swift songs and stuff like that, and she just comes and sits on the drums and just whacks kind of like the drums and stuff like that. So I think Chloe might be more likely to take up the drums. But
you do need to encourage her.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. Saying that, I think Charlie probably would also, from what I've seen, he displays a little bit more, kind of like a little bit of a natural kind of natural thing with drumming as well. So I'd like, it'd be great if they could both do it. The thing for the drums for me is I obviously love playing, but from a social aspect as well, the amount of people that you meet and the amount of friends that I've made along the way, that's the best part about drumming for me. It's the whole social, the amount of amazing people I've met across the country, but especially locally as well. That's that's by far the best thing about drumming for me.
Yeah. The music does that. I mean, I always say that music connects people. So yeah. Well, we've been I know I said that we were only going to be doing this for an hour, and we've been doing it over an hour now. But I've got 4 regular questions that I'll ask our guests before I let you go. First one is, you don't twirl. You don't twirl your sticks when you play, do you? Or...
No, purely because I can't. I've kind of like, I can do a very basic twirl in between of it. I can't do the full one, but no, I don't. I think if I told the band members that I was going to start twirling sticks, they'd all turn up with hard hats on, because at the best of times my sticks go flying across the stage and stuff like that as well. So if I was to start twirling, definitely somebody's getting a stick in an eye. So I think for my safety and the safety of everybody else, I best not do that.
Yeah, well, I've not watched any John Densmore, so like live footage of him.
Maybe that's the one authentic thing I do have with John Densmore.
So he does it. He does twirling when he plays, or
no, I don't think he does. I think that's the only way that we match.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is John Densmore one of your drumming heroes, or do you have other?
Obviously, I've spent a lot of time studying John, and when the more I've listened to him, the more I kind of like really appreciate what he did, and I really love some of the songs that I play. But as far as drumming heroes go, I think when I first started playing drums, I was heavily into Muse and the Killers. And so Dom Howard and Ronnie Vanucci, they were the ones who I actually always aspired to be like. When I was like 30, when I was first starting to take up drums. But then as time's gone on, and I've started kind of like delving a bit more into the back catalogues of bands that I loved anyway, and appreciating the drums a little bit more and being able to pick them out. Obviously, John Bonham is amazing.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Abe Laboriel from Paul McCartney's band, and but I think for me the greatest drummer of all time is Steve Gadd.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely love Steve Gadd.
John Bonham, I think that's like drummers. He's always like a drummer's drummer, because every time I ask, well, not every time.
Yeah.
I'd say about 85% of the drummers who guested on the show, if you asked them about drumming heroes, they were all.
Oh God, yeah. But then saying that as well, and I don't know how many people say this. When you look at like Ringo Starr,
Yeah.
the way he played, and he doesn't get enough credit, but the way he played was so individual and so unique that he's so different to a lot of drummers, but he just doesn't get that credit that he deserves, because the beats that he played sometimes are so simple, but there's 99% of drummers out there would not have played the songs like he plays them. So yeah.
The Ringo Starr, yeah. Do you just concentrate on playing the Doors music now, or do you also learn other songs by other bands, and just in case that someone asks you, oh, can you?
Yeah. So I think I've got a really massive catalogue now of songs that I can play and that I do play. And sometimes on a Saturday night, I'll just come out to the drums, and I'll just put a big playlist on shuffle, and I'll drum along to them. I mainly play the Doors songs, but I think that's kind of like more of a job thing now. Learning a song and making sure that I nail it. But if I'm thinking right, let's go and have a bit of fun on the drums and stuff like that. I play a playlist, and I do play a lot of classic rock. I absolutely love Boston. I love playing along to all of the Boston songs, particularly the first album. I just think that they're the best songs to play along to.
Do you know how to play Phil Collins's that in the end?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the first things they'd probably go to, if I'm being honest, about. Yeah.
Do you call it a riff? Is it a drum riff, or what do you call it?
No, it's probably just a fill, isn't it? But that's
okay.
Yeah, it's probably like I don't know what would that be. I don't know. It's definitely an iconic kind of drum groove, isn't it? I don't know what you'd quite call it, to be honest, but it is iconic, isn't it?
It's just amazing. I mean, I think if I knew how to play drums, I'll just play that all the time.
Yeah.
What about any accidents? Have you had any drumming accidents or disasters?
Yeah, definitely. So when we were playing in Chester 2 years ago, it was raining outside, and I'd just been to the gents, and I was coming down, and I went to get some water from the bar, and as I walked, I slipped on the wet floor.
Oh no!
Landed on the brass bars at the bottom of bars. So when you go to bars, a lot of people put the foot on like a brass bar at the bottom of it. I ended up hitting my head on one of those, and I actually knocked myself out for about, I'd say, maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds, something like that. And then I got up. This was literally about a minute before we were due to play. So we got up, and I just kind of like got my head together for about 10 minutes. And then played the entire gig, and I was probably one of the best to play because I didn't make any mistakes. But during the gig, I noticed I couldn't hear out of my ear, And so on the way back, I was like, oh, probably going to have to go to the hospital. And so I drove, took a slight diversion and went to Arrow Park Hospital. And they did a load of tests, and they realised I had some bleeding inside my ear, so they kept me in overnight. But it was great because it meant that I had a sleep in the next morning and didn't have to get up with the kids. I was all right. It was just there was very slight bleeding inside the ear, which dissipated, so there was no long term damage. But yeah, knocking myself out about a minute before a gig is a bit of an accident, I think, isn't it?
There's no internal sort like bleeding.
No, it was all fine. It was all fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And you still managed to do the gig. So.
Still, yeah. That's commitment. That's commitment. Still managed to do it. I probably shouldn't have, but yeah, I still did it.
Oh wow. Well, my final question for you now is: what would be your advice to aspiring drummers or just musicians in general?
So for me, when I was just starting, you've got to try and keep it as fun as possible. And when I was just starting, I tried to start learning all of the rudiments. I tried to start learning paradiddles and paradiddle-diddles and all of these things. And whilst they are very useful playing drums, they're not the things, to me, that keep somebody who could be sitting on the fence about drums interested. So for me, I would say, yeah, maybe have a go at them, but make sure that you always spend time. If you were the teacher, get them to find really easy songs to drum along to, and because if you can play along to a song, you feel like you're a drummer. If you're playing just rudiments all of the time, it's nice, but ultimately, if you're a drummer, you want to generally play along to some music, and I think that's what helps me. And so I would say keep it fun, play along to songs, but plug your headphones in and stuff and listen to it and play along to it. But also as well, it's very easy to get frustrated. And for me, as I said before, I always used to say, if I keep going, I'll be able to do that in 2 months, or I'll probably be able to do it next week, or I'll probably be able to do it 6 months. You're never going to know everything straight away. But I think if you just keep going and that persistence, you will make progress. And sometimes it's really easy to lose track of the progress that you've made. And I think if you can see the progress that you've made, and all of a sudden you're able to play that little bit of that song or something like that, that's something to celebrate and stuff. That's how I did it with myself. So it's basically have fun and persistence. Don't get disheartened.
Yeah, I tried doing it myself, but I think for me, I'm very self-conscious. And I think when I was doing it, when I was trying to learn how to play the drums, I felt like I didn't look cool enough.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when, so the first ever time I played any kind of drums live, there was a band in work, a great bunch of guys, they were called the Worry Dolls, and they played the gig near to me, and I'd only been playing drums for 2 months, and they said I could play one song, and I was absolutely, so I went up there and I was absolutely petrified of getting up there and playing this, but when I started playing, I was like, it was a really simple song, and I was like, oh, I can do this, and I've got other people there around playing it, and I may very well have looked awkward, but I think lots of people just look at somebody and think they're doing something that I can't do or wouldn't do, and I think if even at a very basic level, if you can play and you've got that like a kind of bit of rhythm, you're already 10 steps ahead of somebody who's not able to do that. And so I would just say, just go for it. You'll get over that fear of kind of like maybe not looking cool or that kind of thing where you might beat yourself down and think I'm not a real musician or something like that. You'll get past that because 99% of the people watching you can't do what you're doing anyway. And so, yeah, don't be too self-conscious about it. You need to start playing drums again.
I always feel that it's too late for me now. I'll just interview drummers and just love the drummers and try not to do it myself because I don't think I can do it now. But But anyways, thank you so much,
Thank
Carl,
you.
for doing Astronaut with me, and I am really looking forward to seeing the Doors Rising again in November. So and yeah, I'm definitely gonna ask you for a photograph. So
Yeah, definitely.
expect to see me there. Say, Carl, can I have a photo, please?
Yeah, I look
So
forward to seeing you there.
yeah, and massive thanks to Hannah. I don't know
Oh,
if she's
Hannah,
watching, but she can watch it later, on,
yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
And thank you, because it was her who bought you the drum kit.
It's without Hannah, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. I would never have learned drums.
Yeah,
I would never have been able to join a band. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. So Hannah's the big key to everything. To be honest, yeah, I'm forever grateful to Hannah and her patience. She's I call her a drum widow or a band widow, because I'm off doing this, that, and the other, and she's never able to kind of do that. So that's perseverance and
yeah,
dedication there as well, isn't it?
yeah. Thank you to Hannah, and hopefully someday I'll get to meet her as well. So,
Fingers crossed.
all right. Well, thank you so much,
Well,
and
thanks very
have
much.
a lovely week ahead. So, yeah, because it's bedtime now. It's
It is
half
bedtime, yeah.
past 8, yeah. So, all right, we'll see you in November.
Yeah.
Take care always, and yeah.
Take care. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye
See
bye.
ya. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. Oh, Hannah, Hannah said thank you, Hannah. For I'm glad that you you commented, and like I said, um, if it wasn't for you who bought him the drum kit, and also letting him go to gigs and everything, then I wouldn't have had him on Ask the Drummer. So thank you so much. Um, and I hope someday I'll get to meet you as well. So hopefully at the cavern, if you can make it there. So I know that it's a bit difficult. Carl just told us about having 3 children as well. But anyways, thank you all so much for joining us live. For those who missed it, I'm gonna upload this on YouTube later today before I go to sleep. And you can all watch it, whenever it's convenient for you. But thank you so much, Carl. That's really brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And Aiden said, "Great interview." Thank you so much, Aiden, or Dads. Aiden is my tech support, so I always says things like that. But yeah, next week it's gonna be on a Monday, Monday afternoon. The next Ask the Drummer episode, because Sunday I'm gonna be doing a record fair, and then I'm also going to a gig in the evening. So it's Monday at 2 o'clock. So do keep an eye out for the guest announcement post on the Ask the Drummer Facebook page. But yeah, once again, thank you so much, Carl, and do check out the Doors Rising. They're absolutely amazing, and if you can get to one of their gigs, the only one that I could think of is at the Cavern, but they do have other dates as well, all over the country. So just check it out, Google them, or maybe um, check out their Facebook page. They do have a Facebook page. Right, so that's it. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, see you all again next week. And as always, love music, love life, love drummers. They're absolutely amazing, and hope to see you all again on Monday next week. Bye for now. Bye.